So, what is a revolution? And why is it called that? Okay, picture a wheel, like a wagon wheel, big wagon wheel. Okay, got it? All right, now picture all around the edges are itty bitty people. They're like part of the wheel. All kinds of people just living their lives being part of a wheel. Why don't they fall off? Because it's a metaphor. Nobody falls off in a metaphor. Unless it's a metaphor about falling off of something. Anyway, down at the bottom of the wheel, down in the dirt, are the poorest people, the workers, down in the mud, bearing the weight of the whole wagon. Everything, the whole wheel, everything rests on them. And they're doing all they can just to hold their lives together. And then up at the top of the wheel, are the richest people. And they're up there doing, rich people things. Like, I don't know, eating cake and sitting on golden toilets and firing everybody at whatever government agency served the people at the bottom of the wheel. Rich people things. Now, the rich, they have no idea what it's like to be at the bottom of the wheel. About the dirt and the struggle. And up on their perch, they cannot even see that their whole existence is resting on those at the bottom. Okay, so you got it? Got the image? Right. Now, think about the people at the bottom. They are tired of being pressed and oppressed, and they start to agitate, and they start pushing against the ground, and the wheel starts to move. It starts to turn. The wheel starts to revolve until finally they are at the top. That's where the political usage of the word revolution comes from. That's what it means. A revolution is when the society has turned, revolved. The low are brought high, and those who thought they were above everything are brought low. Oh, and a revolutionary is someone who advocates for that change. Most people used to know that definition, even Americans. But for the past few decades in the United States, the word revolutionary has been captured by capitalism. And in its captivity, it's been depoliticized. It's been morphed and distorted by those who feared it. The word revolution has gone from a danger to the aristocracy to a slick slogan, from something angrily demanded in the streets to something Silicon Valley tech bros say in pitch meetings. Whenever some extraordinarily counter-revolutionary corporation wants to sell the slightly newer version of the same old shit, they slap the word revolutionary on it. Because they know that's what the average person wants to be. The average person wants to be part of something that will change their lives, that will change the world. Because when working people see how much they've been degraded by those at the top, the ones who despise them, when they see the millionaires and billionaires just flaunting their wealth, while they themselves are struggling to feed their kids, when they feel the weight of the whole society on their backs, they will push against the mud they've been forced down into. They want to change. They want a movement. They want a revolution. From the most passionate Antifa fighter to the most stalwart union member to the most rabid MAGA, we're all at the bottom of the wheel, wanting more. But as was clear in the last election, ding, around 70 million red-hatted people have been fooled into thinking that the folks way up at the top, that the super rich, are going to, of their own free will, turn the wheel, lose their perch at the top, and lift the red hats up out of the mud. Now, like I said in my video about the fooled, a lot of the red hats were the victims of the criminal con men who bought their votes in exchange for the promise of filling in the potholes of our society and giving the red hats a nice, smooth road. Actually, the con men were fully intending to push the red-hatted fools and their families into those potholes, pour in cement, and then pave over them so the con men can have a beautiful road to their exclusive country clubs. The red hats were fooled into believing that billionaires who have never worked a day in their lives were the ones who really understood the problems of the workers, and that the narcissistic megalomaniacs perched up at the top of the wheel really want in any way to share the magnificent view with dirty commoners. Now, of course, the fooled were so easily fooled with the message of racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and xenophobia because of their own racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and xenophobia. But, above all, they were fooled by their own intelligiphobia. That's a fear of anyone or any argument that is actually intelligent. The intelligiphobic didn't mind crashing the ship of state into an orange man-baby iceberg as long as it meant that the drag queens down in steerage couldn't teach children to read anymore. But even these neo-Nazi nutbags and their cosplaying Confederate blusterfuck friends, they feel the weight of the wheel on their back. They're just too scared to punch up. Anyway, back to revolutions. Most Americans don't know this, but the United States didn't really have a revolution in 1776. What we had was a war of independence. That's different. You see, before 1776, the colonies in English-speaking America were ruled both by the British Parliament, which was a shitload of rich white lawyers, rich white merchants, and rich white slave owners in wigs on that side of the Atlantic, and by local legislatures, which were a shitload of rich white lawyers, rich white merchants, and rich white slave owners in different wigs on this side of the Atlantic. The folks at the bottom of the wheel, well, they were the common workers, the women in general, Native Americans, indentured servants, and slaves. But after the colonies won their glorious war against England, the new United States was ruled by the same shitload of local rich white lawyers, rich white merchants, and rich white slave owners on this side of the Atlantic, in the same old wigs. And the folks at the bottom were still the folks at the bottom. A real revolution would have turned the wheel. So, a war of independence. But that misleading has led Americans to think very highly of our revolution. To think that in 1776 we reached some pinnacle of political perfection. So now we condemn every real revolution that happened afterwards. You know, the ones that actually turned the wheel. The French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution, the Cuban Revolution. We have been taught to judge each one of them in the harshest possible light. While we see our revolution, the one that didn't turn the wheel, the one that left the rich in power, the one that left women oppressed, the one that led to the near genocide of Native Americans, the one that kept slavery for another 87 years of rape and murder. We've been taught to see that one as just peachy. Oh, and like I said, another reason that Americans don't know what revolution really means is because nowadays the term revolutionary has been completely co-opted and commercialized by the least revolutionary people on earth, corporate salespeople. A big shoe? Bam! Revolutionary! A bigger phone? Booty bow! Revolutionary! A faster way to flip pancakes? What a bow! Revolutionary! Seriously. Think about how often some shaved sales weasel in a polo shirt insists that a new high-def, fat-melting, cheese-slicing, tire-inflating, labor-saving, patent-pending, juice-squeezing, pump-and-dumping, teeth-whitening, celebrity-approved, gluten-free, self-sharpening coat hook is revolutionary. None of it is revolutionary. No product is revolutionary. It's just different, or an improvement, or a reimagining. Now, sometimes it can feel like some bit of technology, for example, has changed everything. And they can be great and useful. But the wheel didn't turn. And the workers weren't suddenly empowered. It's just more of the same. Only maybe faster. And normally just brought to you by just a different bunch of rich people. So for the past few decades, our corporate leaders and their sales force in Congress have done everything they can to discourage and distract the citizenry from understanding what genuine revolutionary change is. So we need to remember what the term means and to remind others of its real political definition. So, every time someone misuses the word revolution in a class or a coffee shop or next to you in the shower, I want you to point at them and say, you're using that word incorrectly. And then I want you to tell them what it really means. In his novel 1984, George Orwell shows that the oppressor wants to erase from our vocabulary any words of rebellion so that eventually we won't have the language to express to each other or even to ourselves the idea of rebelliousness. So, it's this. Rich people, working people. Kabang! It's a turn of the wheel. That is a revolution.